Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, coming to you live in Washington, D.C. And yes, I am on Pennsylvania Avenue. No, I'm not the White House. I am just about a block from there, by the way. But behind me is a brand new memorial. Well, it's been here for about 4 years now. But this is the World War I Memorial. And it was placed a little bit outside the National Mall. But I'm going to go ahead and check it out and see what's here. So I'll show you as much as I can. All right. Okay, so this is the intersection, very busy. This is rush hour, 14th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to walk up this way. That right there is a statue of John J. Pershing, General of the Armies. Let me get up front here. And on these walls has some history. And even though the United States was only in the war for about a year, I mean, we still lost over 100,000 men and people in this war. So if you want to learn about like the battles, like the Western Front, but I thought I'd really take a look at this nice little pool. Like all the water goes in those cracks. Like it's just, you can't really see a flow. I mean, you can, you just gotta look really hard in the light. And this is what is known as the Belvedere. I'm going to take a look at what's in the middle. And there are many markers that tell all about the history, including, which is non-American related, but like the World War I started in 1914, as we were all taught in school. Summer of 1914, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This ignited a continental war between the Central Powers of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire and the allies of France, Great Britain, Russia, and Italy. But by the war's end in 1918, the war would span the globe, claim more than 16 million lives, and change the world forever. And then there's lots of other details I can go into, but through it all, the United States initially remained neutral. Okay, sorry, but reports of German atrocities and submarine attacks on shipping bound for Britain and France, most infamously the 1915 sinking of the Lusitania, which killed 128 Americans, began to change American opinion. And then there's that slogan, "He kept us out of war." And I'm going to stop right there. But then it talks more about the American Expeditionary Forces, from home front to battlefront. You can also, use a QR code as well. Now this one talks about Americans all. Despite racism at home and in the military, more than 350,000 African Americans served in uniform. Black soldiers were segregated into separate units, and while many were assigned menial support roles, the 92nd and 93rd Divisions saw active combat. But then, despite these heroics, African American veterans faced renewed prejudice and racial violence when they returned home during the Red Summer of 1919 and after. And it also says approximately 150,000 Latinos also served in the war, facing many of the same issues as African American soldiers. And it also talks about women and how they participated in the war effort on a wide scale. Many of them served in the Army Nurse Corps. And they were known as Hello Girls. Okay, I did not know that. There were also Native Americans who were drafted, even though some did not have U.S. citizenship at the time. But nearly 40% of U.S. soldiers were immigrants or children of immigrants. Despite concerns about the loyalty of these soldiers, the Army moved quickly to integrate them, assigning them multilingual officers and providing classes in English, American history, and civics. And then at the northwest is this marker, and I don't know why people plug their scooters here, but anyway, General John J. Pershing died in 1948. The troops he led to victory 30 years before in World War I wanted a memorial. Of the potential locations, the block that you are standing on was the most appealing. It was available and it was next to the most famous street in the nation's capital. Pennsylvania Avenue is the symbolic and physical connection between the Capitol and the White House. Early on, the street attracts stores, hotels, and theaters. But after 120 years, the federal government needed more space. Workers demolished many blocks of old buildings, including this one. And then 1959, approvals and the design of a Pershing Memorial were complete. But the project only needed money. Then John F. Kennedy rode up Pennsylvania Avenue during his 1961 Inauguration Day parade. He noticed that this area was run down and reportedly told an aide to fix it. Kennedy's request became a priority and the Pershing Memorial went on hold while a larger plan was accepted. And then this was dedicated as Pershing Park in 1981. And then the rest of the site was a modernist landscape designed by M. Paul Friedberg. Grassy hills secluded the park from the city. And then as the 2014 to 2018 centennial of World War I approached, Pershing's last living soldier, Frank Buckles, wanted a national memorial to the war. Authorities again proposed and considered locations and selected this site. Congress passed a law in 2014 converting Pershing Park into the World War I Memorial. Yep, that's what it looked like in 1981, which, yeah, by the way, was my year of birth. This is what it looked like in 1875. Of course, that was like almost a half century before World War I. Okay, so I did not know this, and I'm looking at my phone right now, and when I was doing this video, it's 5:09, and so that bugler that you may have heard in the background, every evening at 5 p.m., a bugler in World War I uniform plays taps at the World War I Memorial. This solemn nightly tribute is in honor of Americans who served in all wars. Okay, well, I did not know that. Wow, I'm glad I was here at the right time then. I've for some reason, I thought that noise was coming from the White House. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And then this is what I'm going to show you lastly. And if you can see it, there's the Washington Monument. See how they're aligned with each other. But whether our lives and our deaths were for peace and a new hope, or for nothing we cannot say, it is you who must say this. They say, we love you, our deaths. Give them their meaning, we were young. They say, we have died, remember us. Archibald McLeish. Very nice. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason at the World War I Memorial in Washington, D.C. Signing off.